Hi, I'm Jason from StrataGames, and today we're playing some more Pauper. We just hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed over the years. I decided as a celebration, I wanted to play the dumbest deck that I have ever brewed. Last year when I started making Pauper videos, I was brewing any kind of deck that I could think of based off of any card I found. And then I found this card, Mind Extraction. 2 and a black for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature. Target player reveals their hand and discards all cards of each of the sacrificed creature's colors. So this is a weird, terrible card, but I had the idea, especially with a lot of monocolor decks going around. What if we built a deck with a bunch of creatures that you could sacrifice a Mind Extraction to take your opponent's entire hand away? So that's what we've done. We are base Dimir, blue-black with contaminated aquifers, and then we have a whole bunch of hybrid creatures so that we can sacrifice creatures that are white, red, and green, even though we're not actually playing those colors, in order to take our opponent's hand no matter what they are playing. So at our 1-drops, we have Judge's Familiars, Footlight Fiend, and Slitherhead. These all offer some different value as well along the way. But in our 1-drop slot, we get all 5 colors. In our 2-drop slot, we have Dimir Guildmage as a way to make them discard some more cards or make us draw cards. Pond Prophet, and then our 3-color creatures, Esper Stormblade and Grixis GlintBlade. If our opponent is playing any denomination of colors within Grixis, sacrificing 1 GlintBlade will take every single spell from their hand. As far as removal, we're also playing 4 snaps. These are essentially free ways that we can put a card back into their hand, which will then just get discarded when we Mind Extraction them, and 4 snuff-outs for creatures that we can't get around. I brewed this deck right before Modern Horizons 3, before Devoid was really a prominent thing, so Writhing Chrysalis and Basking Broodscale being in the format definitely makes this deck a little bit worse, but we're pushing through beyond that. We also have some Lotus Petals so that we can do the Mind Extraction combo as early as turn 2, playing a 1-drop on turn 1, Lotus Petal on turn 2, and then Mind Extraction. If they're mono white or mono red or mono green, we can take every single card from their hand. And our sideboard is also mostly hating on colors, blue Elemental Blasts. And I had a red splash in the deck, but I've removed that, so let me update this real quick. We previously had a red splash, and I have since cut that, and now instead we have 4 blue Elemental Blasts for our red matchups, Dispels to help counter spells so that our Mind Extraction can go off, Duresses to preeminently take those counter spells, and also any other pieces that we might not be getting with our Mind Extraction at the exact right time. Some Relics of Progenitus, especially if we're against a mono blue terror deck and we take their entire hand, put it in their graveyard, and they start top decking terrors, it could be quite the problem. And then some Arms of Hadar for if we are playing against a white weenie deck, for example, some deck that goes very wide and has already gotten their creatures deployed before we can extraction them. Of course, we have the most creatures that are blue or black since those are our primary colors, but we do have at least 8 cards in all of the other colors. 8 white creatures, 8 red creatures, and 8 green creatures. So ideally, we'll be able to take our opponent's hand no matter what they are playing. So I'm really excited to try this out. Let's see how it goes. All right, round 1, here we are. We have Mind Extraction and Slitherblade. We don't have any other creatures, so if we're not against blue-black, or rather green-black, it's going to be tough. But if we draw any other creatures, we might be okay, and we just have the Mind Extraction, so I don't think we can ship this. We also have snaps, so anything they deploy, we can send back to their hand. I will say I didn't talk about the win con of this deck. The point of the deck is to Mind Extraction our entire opponent's hand away. The win con of the deck is then to just hit them with our 2-drop creatures, I guess. But we've pretty much won if we Mind Extraction, more than 5 cards away. Our opponent mulligans, so they're already worried about losing too many cards to the incredible value of Mind Extraction that they're putting just some on the bottom, just so they can't get got. Saprazin Scary. Okay, this could be a couple different things, but it could be Poison Fog, Poison Storm, in which case they're likely to have a lot of blue and black cards. I guess we don't have blue, though. Oh, Pond Prophet. Oh, we don't have Double Island. No, that would be so good. Oh, God, and the snaps are going to be terrible. Yeah, we really just needed an island there. Slitherhead, we could still take all their infectious inquiries, weather the storms if they're playing the 1-drop Thirsting Roots. That's not really enough, though. Oh, God, we need a blue creature down. They also play a lot of artifacts, so this is the type of deck we want to play against because they don't run a lot of interaction or counter spells, and it's all control up in their hand, so Mind Extraction is great against them. But they run 3 different colors at least, plus colorless, so I'm not sure it's going to be worth it. We got an Esper Stormblade. That's blue and black. Those are the best colors. Green is tertiary, and maybe red. I think we're going to take a turn off, play the Stormblade, and then we're going to Mind Extraction. I think that's for the best. And they get to see us playing this absolute jank. They start with a Prologue and an Everflowing Chalice. Cycle a Lorien, play an Islet. Okay, they have 5 cards in hand. I mean, that's good enough. We could take a bunch of those. Slitherhead, we're going to attack first, and we are going to go for it. By all means. This is our first time doing it. Let's see what we get. They lose a Lorien, an Infectious, a Deep Analysis, and a Vivisurgeon's Insight. Deep Analysis in their grave is not bad, but that was a 4 for 2. Oh, that felt so good. Oh gosh, that's insane. They concede! Oh, we won our first game! Oh my gosh. I'm over the moon already. I mean, we didn't have a lot of pressure, but they lost so many cards, and obviously their lands aren't tapping for a lot. Oh, that felt so good. And to think, I wasn't sure if it was going to be great against them because they have a lot of different colors. So this is one where we get all our dispels. Dispels are good. I meant duresses. We get duresses and dispels. I guess we get both of these because we don't need any snuff outs or snaps. So we also get 2 relics. And in some matches, we might also side out creatures because if the creatures don't line up, like if they're mono white, Pond Prophet's fine for the card draw, but it doesn't sacrifice to the Mind Extraction for any value here. Luckily, all of our creatures are at least blue or black, and since they're mainly blue and black, our creatures are going to be fine. So let's do that again. They're probably going to bring in Bring the Ending, whatever their counterspell is with Corruption. So we need to be a little worried about that, or at least aware of it. But I don't think I could have picked a better first round to play against. This hand looks okay. Obviously, we don't have Mind Extraction, but we can get just an aggro start going. We can turn 1 a Stormblade. And, I mean, I didn't mention this because it's not crazy relevant, but these guys are 3/2s once you have another multicolored creature. So they attack quickly. We get a Slitherhead. So yeah, let's just play a Stormblade. Next turn, we can play a GlintBlade, attack for 3, and then we're attacking for 6. So that does not give them a lot of time to do anything to us. We don't have any interaction, but they don't have a lot of time. A Lotus Petal. I could use that just to throw a Slitherhead out this turn too. I don't think that's terrible. Play a GlintBlade. See if they have like a counter or something for it. If they do, we're going to definitely play the Slitherhead to get the buff from our Stormblade. But no. Attack for 3. I think we're hoping they didn't bring in Breath Weapon or anything, and why would they? They didn't really. They saw a couple creatures, but that's it. So I think we are just going beat down as fast as possible, and we're going to Slitherhead here. I mean, turn 3, we're attacking for 7. We already attacked for 3 on turn 2, so, I mean, this is kind of cool. Have a Prism, cycle a Lorien, play an island, Prologue to Phyresis, so we got a counter. They could have a Fog up, but they'd have to, if they have just a Fog, they can use it with Prism. But if they only have, what's it called? Moment's Peace, then they're going to have to use their entire Prism for that. I'm going to play a Pawn Prophet first, just in case I get a Duress. We got a Mind Extraction. Hey, that's not bad. We have 7 here, though, and 8 next turn. They sack their Peat Bog to play another Prism before they go proliferating. Okay. And they sack their Scary. And they have an Insight. Okay. I mean, that proliferates their Prisms and are poisoned, but they lost 2 of their lands for it. Another Scary. They have a Chalice, but now anything they want to spend off of colored mana is going to be sacking their Prisms, essentially, right? Unless they have Lotus Petals. Pass to us. We got an island. We're hitting for 8, and then we're trying to take their whole hand away, I think. They have a Snap for our Stormblade. Extraction is not an instant, unfortunately. Okay, so they can untap some lands. They did have to lose a Prism for it. Hit for 5. So now if we extract the GlintBlade, they have counter magic for it, and then we don't have a kill next turn. So I think we actually just play Stormblade again. We haven't played anything yet. They snapped. So if we play this and then they go for a Weather the Storm, they'd have to use this, but also they don't gain that much. I think we're just playing this guy. If we extract, they probably have a counterspell for it. And again, we don't have we don't have them on a clock for next turn. We slow it down way too much, so we'll extract next turn if we do not end up killing them by then. But them losing those 2 lands and that Prism is pretty devastating. We got there. Match 1, 2-0. I think we were up against a pretty easy match for our insanely powerful deck. But man, that still feels good. Ooh, all right, we have another turn 3 extraction with black, red, or blue. We don't have the green again because we don't have 2 islands. So possibly an indication that we need more, 1 or 2 more islands instead of swamps. I will say I think Pond Prophet's our only double colored spell. So might have been good to not have that. Looks like we might be against Jund Wildfire. Another Pond Prophet. Okay. Yeah, pretty awkward. Looks like we definitely need more islands. Jund Wildfire. Grixis GlintBlade can take a lot from them. Krark Clan Shaman is interesting. We can snuff that out so that it can't kill our GlintBlade. I don't really think they're going to want to kill the GlintBlade that much. They're going to think it's pretty weird. But do we want to take that chance? I think it's fine. I really don't think... And I think we need these snuff outs for the Chrysalises that this is not going to get. So let's just play this out. It is just a 2-1 without a Pond Prophet on the field, so maybe I should have. But we're going to see. I think they're going to think this is embarrassing of a card and not pay any mind to it, would be my guess. Or that since they haven't seen it, they'll be so scared of it that they will kill it right away on sight. It is our only creature here, so it's totally possible that we should have protected it with the snuff out. They're attacking. We're going to take 1. And they have a Wellspring. I play a good amount of Wildfire. We have some videos on the channel, and they do play a good amount of red and black spells, but they also play quite a few artifacts and some green spells and Devoid. So we'll see. Another Pond Prophet makes this really awkward. We're going to go for it, though. We're going to attack. And I don't think they're going to sack here, and we're going to try to wrench their entire hand away. Hope it's all black and red spells. They have a Last Rites in their opener or their hand currently, and a Toxin and a Bargain. So we got a 3 for 2. Mirror Enforcer, so they're actually playing a Jund Affinity list. We got a good amount of value from that, but I will say our hand doesn't do anything at the moment. They're going to get Mirror Enforcer down, but we can snuff it out. We really need an island. There's the Enforcer. Good news is we might not have to deal with Chrysalises. We're going to snuff out the Mirror Enforcer, though, on their upkeep. I think Pond Prophet is decent in this one, but it's really awkward that we're drawing all of them and not enough of our islands. I just checked. We have 7 islands, same as our swamps. So, yeah, we could probably go up 1 or 2, but we also want swamps for snuff out, so I don't think it's a huge deck building issue as much as something else. I guess we'll snuff this out so that it stops killing us, and eventually, if we're actually going to be able to win this game, we're going to need to do it with creatures. They're going to sack the Wellspring to their Shaman first. That's fine. They get their card draw, but they don't use it for a Deadly Dispute, which clearly means they don't have one either. They have another Wellspring. They found the Bargain, and a Vault, and a Familiar. Snuff out doesn't do too much here, and I'm counting on these to hopefully do something. Well, this is when the deck looks bad. I mean, it looks bad if you look at it, but certainly doesn't look great here. They have an Implement of Ferocity. That tells me they probably also have the Evolution Witness, because that combos pretty nicely with it. They just buff up the Familiar and attack for 3. Stormblade. I mean, that has flying. I can trade for a Familiar. Opponent saying that they love the idea of this deck. Thank you very much. They have a Krark Clan Shaman. Gonna sack 2, 3. Okay. Stormblade's gonna lose flying after the Footlight Fiend dies, which also is gonna make it lose a toughness. So they didn't have to sack 3 here, but that's fine. We do get 1 damage from this. Unfortunately, the Familiar's big enough; it doesn't die to that anymore. So I guess we throw damage at them. We take 3. We get a Lotus Petal. I guess we are using that to cycle our Pond Prophet, since that's all we got. We have a Slitherhead as well. I think the only way we win this is we get another Stormblade, so it can block this Familiar. They have basically nothing, and then we attack a bunch. But yeah, they have a Galvanic, so we are dead there. They look mostly Rakdos, which makes sense. So Dispel's going to be good. Duresses are good. Snuff Outs seem bad. Snaps are okay. We can bounce a Familiar to extract it, but we can't bounce an affinity guy. You know the name, Mere Enforcer. We can also hit a Krark Clan, but they'll just sack itself, which I guess kills it too. I don't think the snaps are that good. I think we're mostly going on this for our interaction. They don't have blue or white, so Judge's Familiars might not be worth keeping because it's a flyer. I guess that trades with a familiar. Their familiar, that is, and it can sack to counter a thing. I guess it's okay. They probably have Blood Fountains, though, so I feel like maybe cutting 2 of them for 2 relics isn't terrible, especially if we take their whole hand and then they're not able to buy it back because of the relics. A playable Pond Prophet and a GlintBlade Dispel. This seems okay. No extraction, but just a reasonable start. We can play GlintBlade on 2 for an aggressive attacker and then Pond Prophet after that to make it a 3/2, plus we can then hold up Dispel. They mulligan once. We're going to play an island and pass. They have a bridge. We get a Stormblade. We'll start with that because it has, it will have flying, and so that's going to dodge a Krark better. As we saw last game, it didn't fully work. I guess if we'd need 2 of them for it to fully dodge a Krark, that'd be kind of cool. Tree of Tails, Blood Fountain. Pass to us. We have our Pond Prophet. So I think for the aggro play, they don't have red, which is interesting. We start just with a GlintBlade, so we have the more aggressive creature out. We hold up Dispel for interaction. If they go for like a Deadly Dispute to draw and fix their mana, we can counter that. And then if they play a creature, we can snap it. They're going to crack the blood, discard a Galvanic, looking for that red source. They have a familiar. We're gonna let that resolve. Annoying though, because if we snap it, they're gonna get another trigger on it. But we at least get in for 6. Is that worth it? I think we might just have to trade with it. Leave a snap for a Mere Enforcer or something. I guess we'll discard a Pond Prophet here. Footlight Fiend. I guess we can play that in Pond Prophet. Yeah, I guess we can snap this. Pond Footlight, we hit for 6, they're at 11. Next turn we attack with everything. If they only just redeploy this, then we get in for 5 more. That might be okay, actually. Let's play a Pond Prophet to draw a card. It's another Fiend. Let's hit for 6, play a Fiend, and pass to them. They're stalled on mana, so I don't feel crazy good about doing well here, but like it's not bad. They do have the Dispute, it looks like, which would have been nice to hold up a Dispel for, but we wouldn't have been able to play the Prophet. Yeah, I don't know. They have a Scale of Chisgoria. Okay. Oh, it's a scale even, not even the tooth, so +0/+1. They do find red and bridge, and then a Krark Clan. Okay. Yeah, if they sacrifice, I guess just 2 artifacts, they can wipe our board. Gonna do 1 and buff the Shaman. Kind of cool. Okay, but then they're gonna sack, so it's still gonna heal itself. Oh, the Stormblade's gonna survive this one though. This is gonna die anyway, so yeah, we get to throw this here. Yeah, so since this survived for 2 damage, the Stormblade's not taking damage until after that, so they would have to sacrifice a 3rd one here if they want to kill the Stormblade, which they decide not to do, which is decent for me. Relic is okay. If we want to play the Footlight Fiend so we have as much damage as possible. If we play Relic and they play Familiar, if they go for a Dispute, we have a Dispel for it. And if they go for a Familiar, then we can just crack the Relic to draw a card and still hold up Dispute. For next turn anyway. They have the Familiar for 2 mana, so it looks like they don't have a land. So let's just sack the Relic in case we get something worse to discard. We get an Extraction. I guess I can extract with the Footlight Fiend, which is black and red, kill this, and still hit for 2. That's not bad. We're going to do that. GlintBlade. We do lose a couple damage this way, but then they don't trade for our Stormblade, so I think we're going to extract with this Footlight Fiend. Fiend is going to ping off the Familiar. We take 4 cards from their hand, and then we get to hit for 2. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. They have an Ichor Wellspring left. Get wrecked, son. Oh, that felt so good. I know they've been missing land drops. They would absolutely have schooled us if they were not. But still, this feels good. I guess we're going to play a Stormblade in case they get a Krark. So these have flying and don't die to that. Also just dodges Mirror Enforcers. We got a game against Grixis Affinity. That was pretty sick. And it was all skill. I realized we could bring in Blue Blasts. They have clearly Galvanics. We saw they had Pyros right there. Probably playing a Makeshift Munitions. I don't think they're playing Cleansing Wildfires. We haven't seen them, and they have a lot of artifact lands, so I don't think they're doing basics. But the Krarks kind of wreck us a little bit, so I actually think we might want the Blasts, Blue Blasts, over the Relics. I think that's okay. Let's send it like that. All right, game 3 here. Can't keep this one. We can play a Slitherhead and a Footlight Fiend. 2 incredible Magic cards, but that's all we got. This one's got Duress, Mind Extraction with our our one creature that doesn't hit anything in their whole hand or deck, their whole deck. So we're gonna keep it anyway. Hope we draw a different creature. And in fact, I think we're gonna put this one away because it's so useless. We're certainly not extracting with it. And they have a Dark Moss Bridge. We're just gonna play an Aquifer. I maybe should have Duress turn 1, but I guess this way I can Duress turn 2. They have a Spell Bomb. That's fine. Yeah, and then a Familiar, annoying. We're gonna discard just the Aquifer, I think. Yeah, because I kind of want to hold up Dispel and play Duress this turn. Maybe if I get a 1-drop, I can do that instead. Let's play Duress. We drew a land, so not much going on here. This one's off to a slow start, and they seem like they're in an okay spot, although still no red mana. But I'm not convinced this is going to be a winning hand. Breath Weapon or Dispel. No, we have the Dispel. Breath Weapon or Wellspring. We're just going to take a Wellspring. Breath Weapon doesn't do anything at the moment, and we can just kind of wait to take that with a red creature, whereas the Wellsprings we can't take with anything. Fortunately, we kind of need a Stormblade or that Familiar we put to the bottom in order to block this Familiar. Play Swamp and swing for 2. Footlight Fiend. I mean, we're going to play that. Problem is that this is the part where Extraction is not very good. We know that they have a Wellspring and a Breath Weapon in hand. They can't play the Breath Weapon. They must have like a Dispute. Otherwise, why wouldn't they have played the Wellspring? So we're probably going to dispel that if they go for it. But yeah, Mind Extraction just not looking like it's going to do much in this game now that they've deployed a lot of their hand early here. Didn't go for anything on the end step. Maybe they're just worried about filling up their hand too much. Great Furnace. Play that Wellspring. I guess I might sack the Mind Extraction just so I can ping off this Familiar. Sack the Fiend so that we stop taking damage. And we do get the Breath Weapon, which could be a problem later. We're just drawing lands, which is not great. I think we are going to do that, though. It's possible they have 2 to 3 cards that this can get now. And if they go for a Dispute, we'll Dispel. And at least we get the Familiar to slow them down so we can hopefully draw some stuff. We extract away just a Breath Weapon. Okay. Fair enough. They have a Spell Bomb and a Great Furnace. So not a lot going on their side. Yeah, I figured they'd probably crack this Spell Bomb now then. They have the Dispute. We're going to counter. We're going to need some good draws and they're going to need some bad ones. Otherwise, they're just going to pull ahead. And them getting a Red Blast is not helping us. And a Blood Fountain. Just one creature at the moment. There's a Mirror Enforcer, though. And we're just drawing lands. I guess our best draw would be like Pond Prophet into Stormblade. Then we have chump blockers for this, and then we can start hitting in for 3. They have that Implement again. Crack it. Grow the Enforcer. Another Enforcer. And that Spell Bomb. We get a Lotus Petal. Alright, well, it was close. Kind of close. I mean, that game, they definitely crushed us. But here we go again. Oh, what a hand. Only 1 land's not going to cut it, but otherwise looks beautiful. 2 lands, Extraction, and a bunch of Stormblades and Grimblades. We're keeping this one. Putting back Snap? Or is that too greedy? Maybe we put back the Grimblade because I like the Stormblades. But if they play mono red, we want to keep the one of each color. So get rid of a Stormblade, I guess. All right. Try not to be too greedy. We'll keep the Snap. And I guess even with 1 untapped land here, we're not going to be able to extract on turn 3. We need to get 2 untapped lands, because otherwise we can't play a creature on turn 2 and then play the extraction on 3. So that's okay. Maybe we just go beat down. They have a bridge, Dross Forge, so that could be... Ooh, Judge's Familiar's probably not going to do much here, but it's a playable at least. I'm going to guess more Jund, but it could be Grixis. Either way, Familiar's not going to be great here. It is Grixis, so a little bit better. But they would have to have like a bunch of Thoughtcasts and their Kenku in hand for it to really be good. We get a GlintBlade. Swing for 1, and we're going to play a Stormblade. So it dodges Kenku. And we're going to not forget that this Familiar can sack to counter something unless they pay 1. They have a Refurbished Familiar. Annoying. I think we ditch a GlintBlade. Oh, I guess GlintBlade is what we actually wanted on the field so that we can take their whole hand. Except for the artifacts. Man, this isn't great with Affinity being so popular. We're going to go with the GlintBlade. If they play another, we'll probably get rid of the Snap. But for now, it's possible we'll want to Snap and then take their hand. They have a Wellspring. Okay. Pond Prophet. I mean, I kind of want to play that to draw a card, see if we get another land, but the GlintBlade getting down earlier is probably better. So let's just swing for 1. Because I'd rather snap this and make them discard it than let them trade with one of our guys. Play our GlintBlade and hope we draw a land next turn. And then we can snap, try to take their hand. And in this case, we actually want them to Deadly Dispute and just fill up on cards that they can't play. If they fill up on a bunch of Mirror Enforcers and drop them all, that's bad. And I don't want them to do that. Please don't do that. Well, there's one. And there's a Blast. Pretty annoying. There's a Spell Bomb. Being real annoying. Hey, there's a Lotus Petal. I mean, I can snap this and then Mind Extract them. And then they probably just Blood Fountain it back and I freaking die. But, yeah, what else are we going to do? It's kind of the deck, am I right? Let's snap it. Boom. I can't swing with the GlintBlade because they'll probably trade for it. Attack for 1. Play our single-use land and try to extract a bunch of cards from them. Watch them have 3 other artifacts in hand, 3 Wellsprings. They have a Galvanic Blast with their treasure. Sure, they get our Familiar. And we get a Blood Fountain and a Refurbished Familiar. I mean, it's a 2 for 2. I think we're going to just die to this Mirror Enforcer, but that was kind of cool, I guess. I guess knowing that artifacts are something that we can't really take very well, we probably should have had a better artifact sideboard. That was part of why I wanted some red in the deck originally, was to have some better sideboard. But we did not end up keeping that because I thought that the red splash was a little tough. And now we're suffering. No Gorilla Shaman. Play a Pond Prophet, and there's a Stormblade. I guess there's a world where we draw Snuff Out, can kill this Enforcer, then they just buy him back with Blood Fountain. I don't see Affinity for like 2 weeks, and then suddenly it's all over the place when we play the deck that doesn't want to see artifacts. They have another Enforcer. We're just going to go to the next game. Let's see if we can get a fast start. Lotus Petal doesn't do anything here. Let's see if we can do a faster start. Duresses and Dispels might help here, similarly to what we were bringing in last time. Maybe some Blue Blasts as well. We can take out the Familiars, the Snuff Outs, and the Snaps, and try it like that. All right, if they keep an artifact light hand, and we're able to go for the turn 2 extraction, would be ideal. I guess the only way we can do that for all their colors, though, would be a Lotus Petal on turn 1 and 2, which seems tough. So maybe just the turn 3 extraction with like a Duress turn 1 or something. Hey, there's the 2 Lotus Petals we need. And the extraction we need. Not quite. Yeah, this one's keepable. We're going to keep it. Send back Island, I suppose. I mean, this is turn 3, take blue and black. So it's not terrible. It's also turn 4, 5, double blue. Yeah, let's get down the Stormblade. Play a Vault, Toxin Analysis, our Stormblade, so they can play a Blood Fountain. Oh, I was expecting a Familiar after that. Okay, we got a Footlight Fiend. I could just play Footlight and Pond Prophet, but I think now's as good of time as any to try to take everything blue and black from their hand. Oh, maybe that's why they just did it. They wanted to get rid of their blue and black cards. So maybe they don't have anything left, and this is kind of our best attacker, but I mean, this is what we're here for, right? It's not getting any better. Yeah, they have 1 Reckoner's Bargain and a bunch of red. Well, they don't have any red lands. If I get an untapped land, I can also, of course, they draw a Great Furnace off the top because they're so lucky. Ugh, that's annoying. If I top deck a land, I could Footlight Fiend, take away their Breath Weapon and their Galvanic Blast, but they got out 2 of the cards beforehand. We do. Well, I guess that's what we're doing, taking the last 2 cards from their hand, but just having this 1 Mirror Enforcer is kind of going to ruin us. Pretty annoying that they were able to just top deck that land and play out 2 of the most important cards we were trying to dodge. They top deck a Wellspring, a Duress. We'll start with the Pawn Prophet. Slitherhead. Let's Duress them. They have a Kark Clan Shaman. I think we're going to not waste time. There's no way we can win this, unfortunately. If we had been able to get them with the Footlight Fiend the turn earlier, maybe we would have been okay, but I guess the Mirror Enforcer was going to probably kill us either way. Maybe I need Divest in the sideboard to take artifacts, seeing as those are what we can't already take, and the Duresses are actually maybe superfluous. Divest also helps us set up knowing, I mean, just the same as Duress does, but helps us know what to take with the Mind Extraction. So yeah, I think maybe we should swap the Duress for Divest. The hand looks fine. We got a lot of 2-drops, Pawn Prophet still being annoying, thorn in my side. We got the Snap, so if we get a land and a Mind Extraction, we can potentially get there. I originally had, when I was splashing red, we were also doing the Jund Blade, Haste Blade, I don't remember what it's called. Oh look, more artifacts, great. And so I think these 3/2s for 2 actually feel really good. Every single time we get a draw without them, it feels terrible. Every time we get one with them, it feels pretty good. So I think having more wouldn't be bad. They have a lot of artifacts. We're going to play the GlintBlade and pass. Thoughtcast into a Mirror Enforcer. I guess Grixis Affinity's back. Hey, this is the first time we've seen a Guild Mage. It's not looking great here. Guess we're just playing a Familiar and a Footlight Fiend. Attack for 3, see if they want to trade. They do. Reverse Engineer. Been a while since I've seen this one. Improvise. Draw 3. I mean, not bad. Glaze Fiend is also something they're trying. Okay, well, Glaze Fiend can be taken with a Mind Extraction if we get there. Lotus Petal helps. Not there yet, though. I guess we just swing for 2 and play out some more 1/1s. Play a Familiar, which can block here, and a Slitherhead. Now, if we draw Mind Extraction, we can use it, but who knows if that'll be enough. Crack Star, Refurbished Familiar. I mean, Pawn Prophet doesn't seem to be doing us much good. Mirror Enforcer, land for the Glaze. Attack for 6, I think we're going to take it. Snuff out, I guess that kills the Mirror Enforcer. And snap the Glaze Fiend, maybe? Let's start by killing the Enforcer. They have a Dispute, we can counter it with a Judge's Familiar. They don't. So now we can swing with the team. They're gonna put some Familiar on Familiar action here. And I'm gonna just snap this Glaze Fiend now, I guess, so we can put down a Guild Mage. We'll pass. Maybe should have played the Lotus Petal in case we get the Mind Extraction. And if they buy back a Familiar and play it, we would discard. Yep, that's what they're doing. But maybe I just prefer they don't draw a card. I don't know. Extraction's not really what we need at this point, so not sure what we do need, to be honest. Blades would be pretty good. GlintBlade and the other one. I guess we're attacking with a Footlight Fiend because it trades with a Familiar. Play a Swamp in case we draw another for the Guild Mage. They have a Synthesizer. Crazy in this deck. They get a land, though. Lucky. I mean, they can play anything at this point, but Synth is not something they can play really early or anything. We're going to block the Mirror Enforcer. They have a Galv Blast. This keeps us alive a little bit. They have the Glaze Fiend again. Looks like this version might have a little bit more blue because of this Reverse Engineer. We are dead. That's for sure. We have Slitherhead, and we can draw a card with this Guild Mage, but that's not going to be good enough. I definitely don't think we have the appropriate sideboard for Affinity. I was not really expecting to run into it quite so much. Flyers actually are decent, I think, so we're going to try just leaving all the Familiars in, not for the extraction, but just for flying and counter ability. And I guess maybe we cut some of the Lotus Petals, seeing as the quick Mind Extraction is not as much of a winning plan in this one. Got a mulligan that. This one's okay. Lead on a Slitherhead. I think we'll lead on a Duress, and then Stormblade, and then Slither and hold up Dispel. Back the Slitherblade, let's Duress them. See what they got going on. Galvanic Deadly and Thoughtcast with only red lands. Carnarium in this deck is pretty interesting. So I think we take... Galvanic can kill our Stormblade, and they probably will. Deadly, they don't have anything to cast. I think we take the Galvanic and hope, because also the Stormblade sacks to Mind Extraction for the other two, so we hope that they don't draw anything for a bit, and we start with the Galvanic. We have a bridge, Lotus Petal. I think we hold that, because if we draw a Mind Extraction, we can use it next turn. I could play it, actually, just so I can hold up the Deadly, not the Deadly, they have the Deadly. I can hold up the Dispel if needed, so I probably should have at least played it. Top deck, a Blood Fountain. Pretty lucky. What a good card for them. Footlight Fiend. Oh, I was supposed to play Slitherhead or Footlight first, so I missed a damage here. Annoying. Play the Footlight, and we're going to leave the Lotus Petal up. So I missed out on 1 damage. We'll see if it matters, though. We're going to dispel the Deadly Dispute. Oh, they just have a Glaze Fiend, though. Carnarium. I guess Carnarium helps with the ETB here. If we get Mind Extraction, we can ping this off. That'd be real good. Hey, we did draw it. Okay. So I could sack the Footlight Fiend and ping it off, but we know they have the Thoughtcast. So I kind of want to sack the Stormblade to get the Deadly and the Thoughtcast. We get to attack either way, because they have no mana here, so we get 4 in. They have a Drossforge Bridge in hand, and these 3. So if I sack the Footlight Fiend, I'm only getting Dispute and maybe 1 more, but I also get the Glaze Fiend, and I get to keep my Stormblade. I actually think that's better, and just hope they don't ever draw blue, and hope that they have 1 other red or black card in hand. Either way, this is a 2 for 2, maybe a 3 for 2, if we're lucky. They did get a Synth, so yeah, 3 for 2. Not bad. Got the Dispute, and so yeah. They do get to play the Mirror Enforcer this turn, but we get to jump our Blade. Of course, they top deck the Seat of the Synod. I don't want to get too salty here, but I feel like our Affinity opponents are drawing the exact right card at the exact right time. And that's ticking me off a little bit. Wizards Rockets. You got it. There's the Enforcer. Grixis GlintBlade's not bad. They have a Bridge in hand and 1 unknown, so we're leaving our Dispel open, but I think we just want to attack as much as possible. This jumps this guy, and maybe if we draw a Snap, we can get in for 6 or something. We'll see. They have a Deadly Dispute, and another. Play a Mistfall Bridge. Leave their guy back, probably. Blue Elemental Blast. Okay, I mean, we get to attack for 3. I don't really want to give them a free use on this Blood Fountain. They have Galv Blast on the Stormblade to try to kill them both. We're definitely going to counter that. I think I'm going to use the Blue Blast on it. Hope they don't have another, or a Red Blast or anything. This is why I should have played the Slitherhead pre-combat, so that it would retain flying even if they did kill off the GlintBlade. Now we have nothing, so we just hope they draw a bunch of cards and don't really get anywhere. Synth into a Vault, Thoughtcast, Star, crack the Star, do a Gear Seeker Serpent, play a Vault, swing for 4. I guess we're jumping with the Slitherhead and buffing our Stormblade, hoping that we can get it a 2-turn clock. Chromatic Star, they need to not gain life or removal. Dispel can maybe help with that a little bit. Lotus Petal doesn't do too much. We're going to buff this, though. I can't swing with the GlintBlade, though, even though this is a decent trade. Not only can they get it back, but it'll make this lose its power and flying. So, yeah, we're just hoping they have no removal or life gain. And those are the only things we're going to counter. Crack their Star, crack Synth into a Blood Fountain, and they concede. They did not get there. They could have at least cast the Blood Fountain from exile, discarded something to the Blood. They would still have 2 mana, but I guess we got there. I will say we know against Affinity, especially with our current sideboard, we absolutely need a fast clock. A Stormblade particularly is good. Like, this hand looks meh, not great in general, but like turn 3 extraction with a Footlight Fiend isn't terrible, but we're just not going to win that game. A bunch of 1/1s on the ground is not going to get us there. Duress, GlintBlade, Familiar, not a Stormblade, which is definitely the best, but this is okay. I guess we'll try this one. I don't even know if we want to put back an island, because if we get the extraction, we're going to want to cast it. I guess we put back this Slitherhead. Turn 1 Duress into GlintBlade. Well, we got our land, so that makes us wish we put the land on the bottom. All they have is a Refurbished and a Chromatic Star and a bunch of lands. Well, it's not a great hand from them, but to be honest, it's one that's pretty resilient to Mind Extraction, so we hope we don't draw that. They're not going to play Familiar out. Interesting. We get our Stormblade. Of course, that just trades for a Familiar, so maybe we actually go with GlintBlade first to try to trade and then get the Stormblade to fly over everything else. They play their Familiar now. I guess they want a Carnarium. Discard a Swamp. They just go for a Drawsforge Bridge, but then why didn't they do that first so they could save the mana? I don't understand. Snap. I don't think we want to snap this guy because we don't really want to give him the extra card, and also that just gives him another turn to have it trade with our Stormblade instead. So we're going to make the GlintBlade look more enticing. They block, and if we're lucky, we can kill them with this 4-power flying in the air. They still have at least 3 more lands in hand, and only 1 or about to be 2 other cards. Seat of the Synod's a new card too, so only 1 card that's not a land, I think. GlintBlade's not bad. Should maybe play that pre-combat in case they take out the Familiar here. But attack for 4. That works. And we have a Snap. We might be able to just get there on the aggro win. This deck is nonsense, but honestly, the Stormblades have been pretty good. Like 3 2s with an ability for 2 mana. It's been surprisingly relevant, so I actually think there might be something in here that could be a real deck. I definitely think it needs some tuning. A lot of these 1-drops are good for the extraction, but kind of bad in general, so I might need to sacrifice some of the hybrid creatures for just solid playables. They have a Wizard's Rockets. That's tapped, so that doesn't do what they need it to. Great Furnace. We're going to win this game. Mind Extraction. I mean, this is kind of what happens when you keep 5 lands in your opener, one of which is a Carnarium. I mean, they have 1 unknown card, so I could extract with this Footlight Fiend, but on the off chance they have a way to survive, like a counterspell. Are they going to have a counterspell? Metallic Rebuke, maybe? I think we just go for it, right? Just go for the win. Try to deal them a damage. With a Mind Extraction on the stack. Hey, we won a match against Affinity. I mean, that's kind of impressive, right? Seeing as we don't have a lot of good answers to Affinity. All right, this hand, it's a turn 2 Mind Extraction if we draw a Mind Extraction in our top 2 cards. Otherwise, it's not very good at all. We can't even play this Familiar without sacking our Lotus Petal, so I think we got a mulligan. Ugh, 1 lander, but we do have the extraction. Not keepable either, though. This one's not good either. 4 cards, and we have a Lotus Petal and a Pond Prophet. This is unfortunate. I guess we keep. Try to see what they're on, and yeah, I don't think this hand is winnable. But we can at least get the information of what they are playing so that we know how to counter it with our Mind Extraction. Greedy Freebooter. So either probably mono black or black green Turbo Initiative. We got a Pond Prophet. I kind of want to concede, but I actually think if they don't have a very good hand, we can maybe win this because their deck isn't like a crazy high tier deck either. So I guess we're going to cast this Pond Prophet. Yes, Lotus Petal, turn 1, 1/1, and draw a card. You go. That said, if they like Culling the Weak and play an Avenging Hunter here, we're definitely going to lose. I have a Mortician Beetle. Attack with their Freebooter. They're going to sack it if I don't block it, so I'm just going to make them sack it or trade. Yeah, Village Rites. Scry to the bottom, make a treasure. Draw 2. Dimir Guildmage. That doesn't do much at the moment. Let's just play another 1/1. Make it look like we're mono Pond Prophets. Get a tapped black land, another Mortician Beetle, and a Freebooter. Oh, unearth a Freebooter, I see. You know this card used to be a rare? Bonkers. Attack with 2. No, with a 2/2. If we double block, they probably have a Village Rites for this Freebooter. Or a Deadly Dispute. They did indeed. Bone Picker. Pass. We get an Aquifer. I can play out a Guildmage, but I just don't think we're winning this one at this point. I think we're going to need a faster start that's going to actually take their hand away. And I'm going to guess they're just mono black. I don't know if Duresses are worth it. They do play a lot of Village Rites and Deadly Dispute effects. So Dispels might be okay too, because they play some removal sometimes, like Tragic Slips me. Snuff Out's very obviously bad. Snap's pretty good. Arms of Adar looks kind of decent, but then their guys grow quite a bit. So I think we're doing like 2 Duress, 2 Dispel. And yeah, we really want to get... We have a lot of black creatures since black is one of our base colors. Dimir Guildmage, Footlight Fiend, Slitherhead, Esper, and Grixis Stormblades all are black. So we just need to get one of those and Mind Extract them. And I think if we're able to do that on like turn 2, maybe 3 at the latest, we'll have a good shot from there. Unless if they start with like a Dark Ritual, because I know this deck usually plays Dark Rit. So if they start with that and then play 3 1-drops, we're in a bad spot for sure. We have a Pond Prophet, Slitherhead. I mean, Slitherhead's black. We have a Snap, which is pretty good. We just need the Mind Extraction, and we're in a good spot. We're in a spot for a nice turn 3 Mind Extraction. I guess if we start with a Slitherhead turn 1, we could even do the turn 2 with a Snap. But then we don't get Pond Prophet for a couple extra turns. But I think that's probably best. We kind of need to go for the high rolling. We need to try to get it on curve. So we're going to do this and hope we top deck Mind Extraction. They have the Dark Rit into a Carrion Feeder. This is exactly what I didn't want. Into a Mortician Beetle and another Mortician Beetle. Well, even if we get it now, it's not great. We could Snap as well, but that's like it. I guess we're just playing this and snapping, like going for a block, and then they do some sacrifice shenanigans. Infestation Sage, yeah. And a Link Breaker. Well, see, if we'd gotten the Mind Extraction and they didn't have the Dark Ritual, we would have been able to take 4 of these. That would have been pretty good, huh? We'll block a Beetle. They get a counter on all their guys. They're going to sack 3. Leave this insect token, though. I mean, I guess we'll snap this Mortician Beetle. See if they want to sack it to the feeder. See, is this just going to be a 1-1 now? They do sack. We're going to take 5 here. We get an island. Guess we play a Pond Prophet. We don't even get to show the mono black player what we're doing with Mind Extraction. We're just going to die. Yeah, an unfortunate end, but we really don't have anything against these 5/5s, unfortunately. All right, I made some changes to the deck. I added 4 Divests and a couple Steel Sabotage to the sideboard to help with those artifact matchups. And then I decided to play another league with the deck. Spoilers, it did very poorly. I went 0-5. Turns out people adapted to this meta very, very quickly, this deck being very crazy powerful. I was able to get a couple more cool games with some pretty sweet Mind Extractions and some wins. So if you're interested in that, here are a couple bonus games. All right, here we are in League 2, and if we have a pretty good opener. We can Mind Extraction on turn 3 with anything but red. So we're probably against Kuldotha, but anything else we might have a good shot. Ancient Den, Novice Inspector. I'm going to guess that's GlintBlade, probably. So we could just play a Stormblade here. But if they have a Tithing Blade, then that dies, and then we don't have any way to get white cards. I could just play a Pond Prophet. That doesn't really do much. In the following turn, I could play Stormblade and Footlight Fiend, and then go for the Extraction. I think that might be a little better, just so we don't walk into Tithing Blade. They do play a good amount of tap lands often, so it's possible we'll be okay. But I kind of want to take this slightly slower approach. So let's start with this. As much as I want to just always jam Extraction on turn 3, feels like it's going to not work out this time. They're swinging with their Inspector, have the Vault, and they do have the Tithing Blade. So we dodged a bit of a bullet there. So I think we need to play the Stormblade here, but we can also play the Footlight Fiend so that survives a Tithing Blade. So unless they have like the Soul Read and like cast this down, they probably won't be able to take it out. Even if they go with like Glint Hawk, rebuy Tithing Blade, play it again, we can sack this, and then we can extract away the rest of their hand. They have the Glint Hawk. Let's see if they have the untapped land. They don't. It's Basilica, so that means we're going to be able to take the Tithing Blade, as well as everything else. Can't attack with the Stormblade, unfortunately, but just taking a bunch of cards to their hand seems pretty good. So let's just go for it. White and black cards. What do you got? Suffocating Thorn, Tithing, and Ephemerate. So that was a nice 4 for 2. They are left with Ancient Den and Bajuka Bog. Beautiful. As well as their creatures on board. That feels pretty good. Let's just get rid of all those cards. Oh, that was sweet. They swing for 2. Losing our Stormblade is unfortunate, but it's a small sacrifice. They crack their clue. Play Bajuka Bog. We get a Lotus Petal. I can swing for 2 here, and they can block here if they want, but that's fine. And then we get to play out Dimir Guildmage and this GlintBlade. We might actually be able to see the Guildmage doing something here, drawing us cards or making them discard. They have a Tithing Blade. That's fine. We'll sack this Footlight Fiend, I think. It doesn't kill anything of theirs, but I'd rather have Judge's Familiar. I'd rather have everything else. So let's just ping them for 1. Swing with the Glinthawk. That lets us attack in for 5, so I don't mind that. Guess they have 2 mana here. Yeah, they have the Skyfisher. We can still swing with the GlintBlade, though. Play the Ancient Den, pick up their Tithing. Aquifer. I can make them discard a card, or I could draw a card. Which is better? We get to swing for 3. To be honest, it's probably better to make them discard because we really don't have a lot to draw into that's that good. More Stormblades would be good. But I think we're just taking their card. It could be the Tithing or it could be the other one. It was a swamp. Let's play a land and pass. We're going to sack the Familiar here. Guildmage is good value. GlintBlade is our only real attacker. I guess we want like a snuff out for these flyers. Or Stormblade for them. They have a Kabir Crossroads. Nothing else. Snap. So that's kind of cool. We can snap back their Skyfisher and then make them discard it. Don't see why we wouldn't do that. So let's do that. Little value there. And by value, I mean 1 card, 4 mana kill spell. Basically, we drew a snuff out that we hard cast, but with a little bit of added flair. They attack for 3 and probably just flip a Tithing Blade here. Indeed. Pass with 1 card in hand. I'm going to guess it's a land, because I think they would play it otherwise if it was important enough. So I think we're going to attack and draw a card and then play out this Stormblade. Draw a card because I don't want to waste all this mana. Get a Slitherhead. Yeah, we're just going to play the Stormblade. They drain us for 1. We have a blocker here, though, and Glinthawk I could trade with, or maybe we just let them go by and I can swing back for 8, although they have a blocker or 2. They have an Ephemerate on their Inspector. Okay, right now they want to draw something. They don't want to wait for to use it as a chump blocker or anything. Crack their Clue. I know they have a lot of sorcery speed removal. Tithing Blades, they might even be playing some Grimbaubles. Swing with the Glinthawk. I got to do some math because I generally don't want to block here, but we attack. They have a blocker, so we put them to 1 if they have no removal or life gain or anything. But then they drain us, so we go down to 5, then we go down to 4, then they can hit us for 2. I think we're taking it, but it's possible I should trade. They have the Skyfisher. Pick up Inspector. I guess they could do Crossroads and just gain 2. They go for the Inspector and play the Ancient Den out. Another Stormblade. Okay, so I can swing with our blades and then play another one. It's not bad. Because they probably have to trade here. No, they probably try to take it so that they can kill us on the next turn, but then we play another blade. Yeah, so let's swing. I guess they chump here. I could do kind of an interesting thing here where I make myself discard a card with the Guildmage, discard the Slitherhead, and then I can buff our Stormblade, which would be lethal, but then they just chump and it's not a big deal. If I had the mana to do that and the Stormblade, I probably would. But since I don't, I gotta choose. I'd prefer to play the 3/2 flyer. They're gonna take it. That's ambitious. But I know they want to keep this Skyfisher, so we need to play the Stormblade to live. And then since they're at 1, I guess it's gonna be 2. But I might as well play out this Slitherblade in case we get like another one and we can buff it up. They also have the Ephemerate. Forgot about that. So they can get another Clue, or they could pick up their Tithing Blade, but they probably don't want to do that. They could also pick up their Kabir Crossroads. They crack a Clue in their upkeep. Probably going to flicker the Skyfisher, pick up the Crossroads, I would guess. There's 2 life, even with the Sepulcher. They're not going to be able to take a hit from any of these 4. So they need to find a removal or another creature. But I guess they're deciding if they just want to go for another card with the Inspector. And that's what they decide on. They crack a Clue. They have a Dawnbringer Cleric. That can gain them 2 life. Not quite dead. They also have a Goldmire Bridge. 1 card in hand. No attacks. And we get the Slitherhead. They gain the life, so we don't have the win here. But I can use it to buff up 1 Stormblade, so we swing in and it survives. They have to trade with this. They have to chump the one that is bigger. They probably trade with the other one. They chump here and block here. I think we're going for that. That feels pretty good. I guess if they wipe most of our other creatures, then us only having 1 dies to a Tithing Blade, which is kind of unfortunate, but I think we're doing it. I think we're making ourselves discard. Slitherhead, buff up our Stormblade, attacking. I guess if we swing with this, they could chump here, block here. This way they have to chump here with one of these 2, probably block here. They could trade for this. think we swing with the Slitherhead too, so we can buff up something next turn maybe, but then we lose a guy for a Tithing Blade. But it might just be an extra damage. I think it's close. I mean, we are also like dangerously close to dying on the swing back, so I might have wanted to leave the Slitherhead back, but this is what we are going with. Double block the big one, okay. Block, block. Yeah, so I guess this leaves them with 3 damage, 2 of which is unblocked, 1 here. So if they have removal for this Guild Mage, I suppose we die. We do have the Slitherhead, though. So on the off chance they draw a Grim Bauble, I guess we buff up the Guild Mage. Because if they have that, this keeps us alive. If that's their only way to get through. They have a Lembas, that's pretty good for them. Bottom, the Scry. Another Bog, not a big deal. Judge's Familiar doesn't really do too much. I make them discard, then I have Perfect Information. Of course, they could have an instant speed removal spell, but if I do that and they don't, I swing with everything. They have to sack Lembas, trade, chump to survive. So yeah, I think we do it, even though they might have removal, which would be not great. But even if it's just a land, yeah, we at least know that that's what they have, and we get to swing with everything. Force them to crack Lembas and lose their dudes. Go to 2, we play Judge's Familiar, and they're going to drain us, see if they can deal us the last 2. They got a Basilica, so that's not going to do it. All right, what a game. And then we went on to lose that match pretty handily, but here's another pretty sweet game. 1 lander, not good enough. This hand looks pretty decent. Not for anything other than aggro, but we can turn 1, 2, and 3 a GlintBlade. So we're gonna get rid of an island, I guess. We're on the play. Attack of the GlintBlades. This is gonna be pretty funny. Draws Forged Bridge, so it looks like Affinity or Jund Wildfire. Maybe Brood-Scale. Dimir Guildmage. Well, we're just gonna keep slamming GlintBlades for now. We're all about that Grixis, not that Dimir. Come on. Attack for 3. Next turn we get to attack for 6, then 9. I guess we die pretty badly to a Krark clan, but that's okay. Cleansing Wildfire, so it looks like Jund, I would guess. Get a Swamp, though. Snuff Out is no good here. Slitherblade. Let's attack for 6. Pray there's no KCS, and play another one. They have the Slagwoods Bridge. Blood Fountain. And they just pass. Snap, okay. Attack for 9. They have removal, I'm guessing. Cast down. I could just snap it back and then play it again. I don't know if that's better than just playing the Guild Mage and holding another snap. I think that's fine. Snap for like a removal spell for a creature they play. Hit for 5, play a Guild Mage, and pass. I mean, this is kind of sweet that this deck can kind of operate as just an aggro deck, but with only 8 blades in it, it really has to have that perfect draw. And then we went on to lose that match, but here's another game. This is a turn 2 Mind Extraction on red. Okay, let's do it. Turn 1 Footlight Fiend. Assuming they don't kill our Footlight Fiend for no reason, we can probably take their entire hand. They have the Great Furnace, and then Epicure. We can kill that too. Cool. Let's see how many cards. Ooh, another Lotus Petal. Let's see how many cards we can take here. 5 cards, 2 Bushwhackers, Galvanic Lightning Bolt, and an Experimental Synthesizer. They have a mountain. Woo! Look at that. That's hilarious. Aw, they drew a Percussionist. Some people are always lucky. That was pretty hilarious. We actually have the follow-up. Stormblade and Familiar is not bad. Another Extraction. So now we just have 4 damage in the air every turn. We're not going to block this Percussionist, and we're going to hope they draw poorly. They got a Great Furnace. That's a nice start. And they concede. Look at that, bro! Oh, that was so funny. Overall, this is a meme deck for sure. No doubt about it, but Mind Extraction was really powerful several of the times throughout our 2 leagues. And honestly, getting a couple Stormblades out really early, that game where we just got 3 GlintBlades out, turns 1, 2, and 3, was very powerful. So I do think there's maybe something there, but definitely not going to be a tier 1 deck anytime soon. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again for 10,000 subscribers, and we will see you in the next video.